Hello everyone, back at it again in my little yellow kayak. Just launched the kayak. There's another kayaker getting ready to launch behind me. So I thought the first thing I would do is paddle across the lake and put some distance between us, and that way he can fish wherever he wants and I'll fish wherever I want. My original plan was to fish a cove on the left, but I noticed two guys were fishing in there with a pontoon boat. I don't usually see people bass fishing from pontoon boats, but I guess if you want to bass fish and all you have is a pontoon boat, then definitely use the pontoon boat. So I'm going to paddle across the lake and I'll catch up with you guys when I get there. This part is always easier in fast forward mode. Not much else to do except put your head down and paddle. My weather app said southwest winds 3 to 4 this morning, and it started out that way, but it quickly built to 5 to 10, I'd say, which to me is completely different than 3 to 4. Not just in terms of weather, but in terms of rods that I bring with me. So I felt like I was a little unprepared for this trip, just based on what the wind was doing. If I knew it was going to be 5 to 10, I would have brought some heavier powered rods, bigger baits, and instead I have my BFS tackle with me. But that's alright, we'll make this work. Got blue skies, just a few wispy clouds, but mostly bright and sunny. Started out throwing a 3-inch Crush City Mare Tennessee shad on a 1/4 ounce tin jig head on light spinning gear. Let it fall for a little bit, reel in the slack. When I make contact with that little swim bait, it's just a slow, steady reel back to the boat. If I hit any weeds or something, I'll give it a little pop, but mostly it's just a slow, steady crawl back to the boat. I'm trying to keep it up above some weeds right now, so I'm fishing a little bit faster than maybe I ought to. Without any weeds, I like to go pretty slow. And that was something. I still got him on too. Felt like he bumped it first and then came back for it. The right kinds and everything. Nice largemouth. I was kind of letting the wind blow me up to the spot I wanted to fish, which is a shoal area with rocks and weeds. Runs for a good distance across this pond. So I thought as long as I'm in deeper water, I'll try that little swim bait there. And I got one bonus fish on it. When I got up on the shoal, I'm in much shallower water now. I know it doesn't look like it because I'm way offshore. But shallower water, too shallow for that 1/4 ounce jig head and swim bait. I put on a Super Fluke Junior. I think it's an ice, like a white ice color. That's what it's called. And it didn't take too long before I got my first fish. I'm working that Super Fluke Junior over some topped out weeds and weeds that are almost to the top. So a Super Fluke Junior is a good choice because it'll come through all that stuff and not get hung up. But if I had known the wind was going to be blowing, I would have brought my other rod with a full-size Super Fluke. Probably a disco violet color, something like that. Anyway, the BFS rod worked. I got a fish. That didn't take too long. Decent fish. Another largemouth. If I could get my thumb on him, I'd show him to you. Yeah, he's alright. Thanks for playing, bud. See ya. The wind was getting a little bit much for the Super Fluke Junior, so I decided I'd switch sides of the pond. The guys fishing in the pontoon boat were already fishing this cove, so I'm fishing behind them. And if you're going to do something like that, I like to fish something different. In this case, I'm going smaller. I'm fishing a micro Texas rig. I started out with a baby goat because that's what I had tied on. And then later on I switched to TRD bugs. But as I was switching sides, I couldn't see him in the wind before I got real up close to him. But there were all these herring balls, bait balls. And so I was fishing underneath the herring schools with that micro Texas rig. And I got a fish. There's some weeds down there too, stringy grass type stuff. It's not a bad fish for BFS gear. Yeah. See ya, bud. I know they're a little hard to see in the wind, but I'm fishing herring schools. These are 2 to 3 inch herring. The baby goat is in the deal color. Maybe it looks a little bit like a herring that's been spit up and it's floating down to the bottom. Have to adjust my kayak every once in a while because the wind's pushing me back. As soon as I feel that fish pick up the bait, I reel down to him, set the hook, just like it was a heavy powered rig. And I got another fish. That rod is a medium light 7.2 Shimano Corrado. So for BFS gear, that's heavy tackle. But it works great. Not as big, but still fun. I couldn't see what those guys in the pontoon boat fishing in this cove are doing before. That was on purpose, by the way. I was giving them plenty of space, keeping my distance. But 2 anglers came through this cove and they were fishing in here for quite a while. So I'm fishing used water. I'm fishing behind those guys. And I like the idea of fishing something smaller, something more compact, something that they probably weren't throwing. And it's working. You know, they might have come through here and caught a lot of fish. I don't know. Or they could have caught none. But I'm fishing behind them and doing okay. That one's about the same size as the last one. And mostly what I was doing is focusing on bait balls in here. There's some weed edges too. I could have focused on those for a bit, but I don't know. It's interesting watching the herring flip around. I didn't see any bass attack the herring while I was in here, but they were underneath the schools, just kind of following them. I think at this point I'd switched over to the TRD bugs. My baby goat was getting worn out, and I decided it was time to replace it and try something else. I felt like it wasn't as good as the baby goat. It's a very unscientific study, but I did manage 1 fish on it. But I wasn't doing as well as before I switched over. Probably depends on the day and what else is going on with these fish. But I felt like the baby goat was doing a little bit better. But I was happy to add 1 more to my total. Alright, I'm going to wrap it up here. Just a quick morning trip for you today. I had a good time out here. Despite the weather forecast not being what I expected, I was able to kind of roll with the punches and get a few fish in the boat before I had to leave for home. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here today. The little BFS fluke bait, Super Fluke Junior. What else did I throw? I threw the mare around a little bit, and the micro Texas rig. So you can duplicate what I was doing and hopefully have some good success on your home lakes. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!